Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. First off, shouts out to B. Dickerson for coming through in the Cash App specifically for my son. He sent his thanks. It took him a while to see the Cash App because his phone is with him outside of the country. He may or may not marry this particular young lady, but we have yet to see if he can stomach living in that particular nation. Every nation's not for everybody, but that's a part of the process. Shouts out to BGS Idmore for telling FD Signifier about himself in such a calm way. Shouts out to the Reverend Brother Pastor Deacon Dr. Hurricane Edward Allen Anderson of the New Greater Zion Valley Precious Lamb. Oh Lord, hold my mule while I shout. Golden Passport Monument, Hope, Mountain of Hope, Faith Tabernacle, Holy Bright Morning Star, Greater Evangelistic Apostolic Church of Amen. You better preach, and Passport Bros for telling that commentator about himself after that commentator told black men in the West to follow our hearts and marry. So the reason that I am recording this is because a Latina was on a podcast in the studio, and she said that black men, forget that. She said black women were some tough competition with the best bodies and the best faces, and that the reason other women were able to win their men is that they wouldn't be soft. Now, according to both Crimson Cure and Average Man Unplugged, the reactions of sisters, shouts out to both of these two, the reactions of sisters were not favorable. Sapphire couldn't stand to be told this, even with the compliments that the lady gave them. Let me clear something up about men in general and black women in general. Generally, globally, not just in the West, but globally, generally, non-black men don't want black women, even when they like the bodies. They don't like the voices and the noses and the hair. They don't like the color. Yes, I said they don't like the voices. They don't even like women that are dark without being black in most cases. Now, there are brown women that look good, but they're not dark by our standards. And even women that are not dark by our standards can be attractive and cute. And men from their own groups of people will look at them and be like, no. Because men who do like them won't even so much as admit to that a lot of times. A dark-skinned Indian that's not black may have secret, she may have secret admirers, but they would not admit this to her or even to anybody else. So she's by herself. It's like there's something wrong with these men in the eyes of other men and in the eyes of the society. They feel like something's wrong with them if they wind up with such women in the first place, even if these women are their type, they're not somebody else's type. In other words, non-black men generally do tend to allow the taste of other men and a culture to determine where they will actually wind up, even if it's not their choice. It's like how Meg Thee Stallion tried to hide the fact that she slept with Tory Lanez in the first place. See, because Meg Thee Stallion is a celebrity and she's tall, she still felt shame, even though the one that she laid with was Tory Lanez. You take a non-celebrity woman and she'd be like, yeah, I clap cheek or what I smashed Tory Lanez. But you see, this Meg Thee Stallion, she's a celebrity, so, and she's taller, so she wants to sit up and act like, oh no, no. She was telling everybody until she had to testify on that stand. She was not embarrassed enough to hide the fact that she was sleeping with anyone at all or sleeping around, but that she slept with Tory. She was ashamed that she slept with him specifically, and that is how non-black men feel when they do like black women or even dark women of their own races. If they do, they'll hide it. Yeah, it's like that. Black women's choices are pretty much black men. The men who do like black women are usually black men across nationalities. Be we in North America, the islands, Africa, the Middle East. We like black women and aren't embarrassed about it. Now, this Latina that isn't black said that black women are tough competition for other women in terms of their looks, which is what black women insist but don't really believe. And that's what we black men actually believe, in agreement with this Latin American lady. Sisters on the surface say they believe the same things as the lady that complimented them. This means the only reasons they would react negatively would be because they think that, frankly, black men don't deserve their femininity. Any femininity. This shows the compliments and validation that sisters crave from non-blacks is null and void once you couple that with an assumption that we black men deserve anything good from any women in good situations. This shows that the priority they give is to denying and depriving us. Getting what they want is less important to them than keeping away from us what we want or what they perceive that we want, rightly or wrongly. Whatever they think or know that we want, it is a priority that they keep this away from us. That must not happen, and that takes priority even over them getting what they want. This explains why they don't want anyone to want the same black men they either don't want or would never admit they want, because their friends aren't competing to get them. They don't want most of us, and that's okay, but they don't want anyone else to want us until these others else are also fat single moms, disease-ridden, and in need of a rescue of some sort. They won't even stop for a second to think about you until this woman is in that sort of situation. This is one reason why some Saudi men do not let any women beggars stop them. If women won't stop them for any reason but to beg from them, there are men here that will not help. And I've had to act like this too. First time that my wife and I actually flew back to Saudi Arabia, we landed at the Medina airport. This lady behind us in line asked me to pick up her heavy bag. Now I moved one bag, and when she pointed to the other, I was like, stop, because I was already carrying my bag, my wife's, and I got a bad back. I hurt my back a long time ago. I still pray in a chair to this day. When I told the lady that my back was injured, she said to me, please, I'm by myself. And I was like, well, how the hell is that my fault? And my wife said, be nice, be nice. I said, hold up. And I reminded my wife, because she and I were newlyweds, I reminded her that I was not going to injure my back again for somebody else. My responsibility is to my wife. She then agreed. A light went off in her head, and she told the woman in Arabic slang that my back was injured. It is because I am a black man that I learned from black Western women that I would be sought out by women for labor a hell of a lot more than I would ever be sought out for anything that we might even both enjoy. And it ain't got to be just smashing. If it was something like just a party, going to a food festival, something like that, if we might both enjoy it and it's not costly to me, they would not mention me and seek this out. I learned that early in life. I was not told by Western sisters that I should refuse, but I was taught through practice and experience that I better refuse. And I actually, at a time in life, found women to be annoying because of their willingness to ask for things like this at the most inopportune times possible, when I'm usually already busy with other things and carrying enough. It was from the black manosphere that I learned to not be there for other women that had no allegiance to me and didn't have to listen to anything I said, even for their own benefit. I refused that day at the airport, and to this day, I don't regret it. And later, the following summer was 2020. And when my wife and I took a trip, I remember we took a trip. We were going to, we took a trip to Dammam, Khobar, the eastern coast. I remember that. And somebody got us to Riyadh, but from Riyadh, we took a train to the eastern coast. And I remember at the train station, I'd never forget that at the train station in Riyadh, an Arab woman with some kids, no husband in sight, was pushing these bags out. And you could not take those carts, the luggage carts, you could not take them outdoors all the way to the parking lot. I think, I don't know. She asked an Egyptian man if he would help her with them bags, just because. That man said, no. He looked at all them bags for her and her kids, no man in sight. It's like, no. That man pretty much said, you were not under my covering, you were not under my protection, and I, as an Egyptian, probably can't marry you anyway because you're Saudi. So there's literally nothing in exchange. So no, I witnessed this. Now, it took me a little while to understand what was going on because she spoke slang and he spoke Egyptian. But by the time I fully understood it, he was walking away, but I understood it. Then I actually recorded something about that. And one of the ways that I've kept the appreciation and the respect of my wife is that when I mentioned this to a lady and she said, why couldn't he just be nice? I said, hold up. He can, but he doesn't owe her anything. A man has every right to save these things for the women to whom they're married and related. It makes perfect sense to save these things. Sweetheart, these things are not easy. And I reminded her, you remember we were at that airport, that woman didn't care, or she either didn't understand or didn't care that I had a bad back. What I'm supposed to do? Bust my back, injure it again, and not be able to help you carry anything for several months after that? And that's why I'm mentioning this. Now, when Saudi women I don't know, or any women I don't know, especially if they have the niqab, the face veil, try to stop me, I already know what's up and I don't stop. Do I want to smash? No. But if I can't smash, then it's okay, as long as she can't ask me to cover her in some other way in exchange for nothing. Shuck that fit. Your face is covered, especially because that's a signal that men are to leave you alone outside of necessity. And we will. Because most men don't mean any harm most of the time. But that also means she's got to leave us the uck alone about that which is valuable to us too. And our money is valuable. My wallet, my choice. She got to leave me alone. So, she's that kind of woman, and that's fine. I'm that kind of man. I'm chased with my money. I'm chased with my muscle. And if I passed out money, I do it in secret and probably to somebody's husband. Get with a husband and maybe I'll pass him some of my coin without him even knowing it was mine. Instead of you just walk around asking men you don't know for money. They don't stop women like that. And understand, they're doing this to me as a Western black man who was trained to respect women's boundaries. So for me, when a woman breaks her own boundaries and breaks mine by walking up to me and I don't know her, that scares me. I've actually told some when I learned that there was one word that you could use to say keep a distance. There was one word. I started saying that out of reflex when they would do this. There were sisters that taught this to me, but every women that do beg here reminded me. And see, here, the attitude that they have is not aggressive or abrasive, but it is annoying. The attitude that sisters tell you to tolerate over there in the West is insufferable. You're dealing with worse than I deal with. That's what I'm talking about. You can see now that, frankly, sisters are more concerned with you going without anything you might enjoy from women than they are with winning the men they want, which we now know are non-black men, more specifically white and white adjacent men like Afghans and white Arabs and Chinese and Koreans and anyone else that historically has looked down on black people. Yeah, they're looking for these same men who respect us the least, which means they're the least likely to cherish and respect these sisters and they want them. But that's who Westernicians want. The only thing they want more than those men who don't validate or even normalize blackness is for black men, you and me, to be denied the options and limited to the options of either being miserable alone or being miserable with the wrong women in the wrong situations. So when you learn how to be happy by yourself, they hate that. And they'll come along and try to mess that up. You're happy being by yourself. You're finally happy. You're content. They see it. They don't try to get with you then because they like you. They try to get with you because they want you miserable. And they're not the only women in the world like that. They're just the ones that are trying to make you miserable. The white woman's trying to make the white man miserable. What the hell did I tell you? The reactions to this Latin American lady show that your misery is more important to them than their own happiness. And this is because their contempt for you and me is more than their self-love. They either don't love themselves at all, but they have less contempt for themselves than they have for you and me, or they might love themselves some, but then that means that they hate you and me because that's more than contempt. They are still enemies, war or not. And yes, just them disliking this Latina's observation, just their disagreement with her proves that. They don't really disagree with her observation, to be honest. They brag about being hard on you and me. They take pride in it. They high-fiving and slapping each other's hands and dapping each other down in the hair salons, telling stories about how hard they are on us and the paternity fraud and the child alienation they commit against us. They boast about it. My mother told me that. They're only ashamed if they are feminine and fit and friendly to men that their friends don't covet, not if they're mean and cruel to such men. They are proud of the same things that this Latin American lady observed in them. They disagree with the notion that they should be any better to us, and that's all. That is an enemy. And that is why there is even the topic for which at Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time, BGS, Attorney Sperling, Dr. Thunder, and the Green Gorilla are going to go on a panel to discuss. The topic is about the political break between black men and Western black women. That's the topic. The only reason that there is such a topic is because they hate you and me. It's not just because we're different. It's not a difference. It is a hatred. And it's not that we hate them. They're going on the panel because sisters insist on a political break because they want for us whatever they know or think we don't want for ourselves. That is hatred. You can accept that the war is over where you live if you can actually observe that it is over. And that means you can stop firing shots back. But we cannot afford a reconciliation. Black love is dead in the Anglophone Americas, and it has been for a while. But that means that the black family is over in the Anglophone Americas, and that the death has been coming for a while. This Latina just unintentionally spurred sisters into proving it again. That's all I'm getting at. The answer to that is going to be saving, preparation, passports, and reblacktriation, gentlemen. Thank you again for listening. Black heart, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum. And as always, black, heterosexual, non-select, male power, just because they don't like it. Just because they hate us. Thank you for flying again with us on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender justice forever. And by the way, on your way out of the jet black aircraft, should you choose to punch the Cash App button, please only punch in numbers that are easy for you. And should you choose to get the merchandise instead, then go ahead and go to my upload before this one, or go into the community tab and click that link and get you some SYSBM or Passport Bros merchandise so that we can be visually recognizable to each other in transit in these folks' airports and train stations. Again, Jet Black Airways. Blackout.